Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to start with the new topic, and that is Introduction to Literary Theory by Terry Eagleton. And the first chapter of his theory is regarding literature and its definition. He has defined the literature in detail with different type of examples. And the topic is very much easy, and I'm sure that being students of literature, you will certainly feel ease and comfort, especially through the discussion of this topic. What is literature? The opening chapter of Terry Eagleton's Introduction to Literary Theory. The problem. What is the problem? Have you ever felt ashamed or secretive about books you like because they are not on approved reading list? It means that whenever we go through such type of books which have not been approved by means, in other words, we can say that when we are of no importance and they are not enlisted anywhere, then certainly we feel difficulty or we feel shame over there. Have you ever had a teacher, friend, or parent tell you that what you are reading isn't literature? That it may have words printed on a page, but it is somehow inferior in quality to other books. That is, it might be literature in the broad sense of the term, words on the page, but it is not literary. Well, the problem with such judgment is that if you praise someone about her definition of literature or literariness, she will have a hard time finding a criteria that works for everything we have ever called literature. Although many have tried to define what literature is or what makes something literary, no one has successfully defined literature in such a way that it accounts for complexities of language and the wide variety of written texts. In order to, in order to understand the definition of literature and the function of literature, we will have to go through the following most important points. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult to judge the literature. For example, either they are teachers, they are parents, or they are other stakeholders. They cannot tell you that either the work is literature or not. So literature is imaginative writing. Okay, literature is imaginative writing. How it is imaginative writing? Let us move forward. Some define literature as writing which is imaginative or fictive. Fictive means related to fiction, as opposed to factual, true, or historical. This seems reasonable until we realize that. It means that uh, some people are of the view that literature is imaginative type of creation, and it is very much away from the facts, truth, and historical background, and etc. Number one, what counts what counts as fact varies with cultures and time periods. Now see, what is fact? Fact cannot be understood apart from cultures and time periods and etc. Is the book of Genesis, for example, and the entire Bible for that matter, fact or fiction? Now these are the most important questions which have been raised over here, that either the Bible is fact or fiction. Are the legends and myths of Greek, Scandinavia, and Native Americans fact or fiction? Is Darwin's origin of species fact or fiction? Are news reports fact or fiction? So these are the most important questions. And while looking at any type of literature, we will certainly try our best to understand the topic, right? Now here we have to decide either the piece of literature or the piece of writing, sorry, is either fact or fiction. Okay, so that's why the most important things which have been mentioned over here in point number one is our Bible and Greek mythology and American literature and Darwin's theory. These are certainly the most important things to be understood. What is clearly imaginative writing is often not considered literature. So here the point is that all those writings which are considered imaginative, which are based on imagination, cannot come under the umbrella of literature. For example, comic books, computer game stories, and Harlequin romances are usually excluded from the category of literature, even though they are certainly imaginative. So such type of things have been excluded from literature. Okay. Point number three, a lot of what we do consider literature is more like history. For example, Boswell's biography of Samuel Johnson, Killiard's history of the rebellion, or philosophy. For example, the works of Mill, Ruskin, Newman. In sum, facts versus fiction is not a helpful way to distinguish between what is literary and what is not. There are also lot of facts in novels, and many novels are based on real historical events. For example, if you put a glance on all the books or all the novels, you will also find that there are so many types of novel. There are historical novels as well. There are romantic novels as well. There are means you will have a variety of novels as well. So now the question is that how to decide that either means they are based on facts or fiction. Literature is an extraordinary language. Perhaps it is the way we use language. Okay. Over here, we are going to discuss the language which is used in literature. As some argue, literature transforms and intensifies ordinary language. If I say, thou still unravished bride of quietness, then you know it is literature, or you know that I'm using literary language. The language is different from everyday speech in texture, rhythm, and resonance. The sentence, this is awfully skillfully handwriting. It doesn't sound literary, does it? However, there are also some problems. Now see that over here, the language which is always used in literature has been discussed in this paragraph. So now see that, and you will also find it very much interesting that how to understand, how to come to know that either the work is literature or not. Here over here we have a speech. Okay, it's a speech of Victor Shlovatsky, and he delivered the speech in early 20th century, and he was a Russian formalist. Habitualization deviates objects, clothes, furniture, one's wife, and affair of war. Habitualization means that when you are in habit of something, or when you are habitual of something, or to be habitual of something means that when something becomes a routine work, and when all such type of things become a routine, or they come in the routine of any person, that certain type of things are always means considered very trifle, sorry, and they are no more given importance. Number, for example, objects, clothes, furniture, one's wife, and fear of war. Suppose as far as the fear of war is concerned, then if you if you have experienced certain type of wars, then you become habitual of it. For example, other type of situations which occur in our society, then we become very much used to them. If all the complex lives of many people go on unconsciously, then such lives are as if they had never been. Art exists to help us recover the sensation of life. It exists to make us feel things, to make the stone stony. For example, art certainly helps us out in order to feel the things, in order to feel the things, number one. And when we are habitual, or when we means are used to feel them, then certainly they come under means our habit. The end of art is to give a sensation of the object as soon as, not as recognized. The technique of art is to make objects unfamiliar, to make forms difficult, to increase the difficulty, and the length of perception is an aesthetic end in itself and must be prolonged. Art is the way of experiencing the artfulness of an object. The object is not important, but the art is very much important, which presents it. So we have further explanation of the same under the means point number one. Unordinary speech depends on the norm from which to deviate. There are ordinary speech and unordinary. Unordinary, unusual. Unusual means special. Speech depends on the norm from which to deviate. A norm means rules and how to deviate from the rules. But the specialized vocabulary used in sports, dance, music, small town diners, glass vision, dock workers, and etc. Even everyday slang varies widely from the norm, but we don't classify that language as literary. For example, most, if not all of our swear words imply metaphorical poetic language. Isn't the sentence, "You are an actual literary because of its use of metaphor"? The language defamiliarizes or estranges the ordinary. It means that the language which is used plays a vital role. The language plays a vital role, especially in, in the literature. There isn't a universal norm. So norm is not same throughout the world. One person's norm may be another's deviation. Okay, so for example, if one person is going to follow uh, one value, one type of rule of law, then it is not essential that other man or the rest of the people may follow the same. Shitkika for cowboy boot may be poetic to someone from New York, but it is everyday speech in Laramie. It means that there are certain type of words which may have poetic forms in the one part of the world, but it is not essential that the same words may have the same importance in other parts of the world. Why? Because they are usually used over there. Many Americans think British words for everyday items seem poetic. For example, I smiled at a sign posted in shopping mall in Salisbury. Watch out for slow moving plants. Apparently, plants are forms of heavy equipment or machinery. For the British, this sign is rather literal, but I enjoyed the heavy equipment, but I enjoyed the figurative language. I wouldn't think of machinery or flowers in quite the same way. It means that, for example, the common language in Great Britain is considered as a poetic language in USA. Okay, so here, it is not essential that the same thing may be accepted same throughout the world, but people certainly are over here. They use two different type of things. Finally, the essence of this is awfully squiggly handwriting. Doesn't sound literary, but it comes from the Ned Hampson's novel Hunger. Therefore, what is literary depends upon the context. Anything read in English, anything read in English class could count as literature simply because it is read for English. In English class, for example, that every type of language is considered as literary language, but in fact it is not. For example, those people who are not used to Pashto language or Arabic language, they always consider it the poetic language. For example, we are not aware of our Arabic language, but we have gone through the glorious verses of the Holy Quran. So suppose कि if when Arabs speak the language, we consider it as a glorious Quran. In fact, they don't speak glorious Quran. So this is the little bit difference of understanding the language. Same as the case of English language. Literature is pragmatic speech. Pragmatic means that it's based on knowledge and experience of man, and that is certainly given more importance in all societies. Perhaps literature is non-useful writing, writing that doesn't help us do something pragmatic. There are still several problems. Or one could read anything as non-useful. That is, I could easily read a shopping list and point out interesting metaphors, beautiful sounds, imagery, and etc. It means that sometimes we are compelled to read out uh, irrelevant type of material. We do irrelevant type of things. For example, as the names have been mentioned over here, I could read Moby Dick to find out how to kill whales. In fact, I have used a novel about sled dogs to train my own dogs. Is that book no longer literature? Once I turn it into a how to book, it means that sometimes we are very much confused that either the work is or the book is the book of literature or the common book and etc. So now see that again it is quite difficult type of thing to differentiate uh, among the books. Literature is good writing. Perhaps something is literary because the text is kind of writing we like to read. It is highly valued kind of writing. So, for example, sometimes we choose the books to read them out. Why? Why? Because we consider them highly good books or highly valued books. In this case, anything can be literature and anything can stop being literature. So it may be possible that either it may be a book of literature or not. The most important implication is that we don't get to decide what is literature because our parents, teachers, exam textbooks, and etc. define that for us. We are trained to value the kind of writing that they value. This doesn't mean that we are empty vessels with no ability to think for them ourselves. It means that there's a certain age of man in which others are other by others we mean that our parents, our teachers, and our elders always choose the books for us, and they suggest us to go through them. But now see that when we grow up, then we feel that we are no more empty vessels, and now we are able to uh, understand, or we are able to choose the books for ourselves. However, our personal values and criteria are not personal but social. It means that we are part and parcel of society, so that's why we always think in the terms of society, that how to develop our personality, how to get respect in the society, how to speak in with other people in society, other persons in society. So now see, this is the question. This is not the question of our personal life, but this is the question of our society. These social institutions provide us with a range of possibilities, and social values are notoriously difficult to change. Now, see, there are certain type of possibilities. We can, and we cannot change the social norms of society. We cannot change the society, but we can change ourselves, or we can adjust ourselves to live and move in society. Conclusion. Literature and the literary then are highly subjective categories. Now see, here he has called the literature as a subjective type of thing. We can't decide, we can't decide whether or not something is literature or literary simply by looking at its form or language. So, by looking at the form, we cannot decide either a work is literature or not. Shakespeare's work have not always been valued as literature, and his works may not be valued in future. Now, see, in the conclusion, he Terry Eagleton has denied that Shakespeare works are his plays and his poetry, not as a literature. He is not going to accept them as a literature. We will come to know how in the coming slides. Disappointed. You may feel dissatisfied because we will never come up with a concrete definition. So we don't have particular definition of literature. But that is the point. As Terry Eagleton points out, we can drop once and for all the illusion that the category literature is objective in the sense of being eternally given and immutable. It means that we reject the thing that it is objective. Okay, he goes on to say that our opinion and value judgment are not neutral either. That the ways in which what we say and believe connects with the power structure and power relations of the society we live in. But now the question is that we have to keep an eye on the society, and we cannot deny the power of the society and the pressure and structure of the society as well. In other words, your opinion about literature and literariness are not just your opinions. So now see that it is not on your personal opinion that you may decide that either the book is of literature or not of literature. They are related to how and where you were raised and educated. It means that it depends upon the society which has helped you out to grow over there. Importantly, our environment encourages us to accept some values but not others. Now see that there are certain type of values which we always accept ourselves. But there are others as well that we don't accept other values. So it means that either to accept the values or not of the society, we are free. But not, freedom is limited. Suppose if we are living in the society, we will have to accept the things for there. Okay. Our environment encourages us to accept some values but not others, support the activities of some group but not others, or exclude some choices as unacceptable. Okay, certainly we are means bound to accept certain type of choice things which are which means don't depend upon our liking and disliking because we want to adjust ourselves in society. Therefore, how we define literature reveals that we have been taught to value and what we have been taught to reject. So literature has not taught us. He is of the view that either to accept the values or reject them. This is important for you because you are encouraged, perhaps even coerced to learn what other people value and at the very minimum, what other people have made available for you to read. This last insight is particularly important if you plan on teaching. So the last point is very much important if you want to teach the people. For for you, for you will help shape the perceptions of your students. Now, see that if you are a teacher, if then you will give the shapes to the perceptions of your students. Again, have you ever had a teacher tell you that the novel you are reading is not literature, escapist, or just fun reading? So certainly not. So over here, I want to explain the point more and more for the sake of understanding. Sorry. Now, see that, for example, we have been told from the very beginning uh, by our teachers, our professors, or by our society that all these books are books of literature. Why? Because first of all, they define literature. That literature is a mirror of life, and whatever happens all around us in a society, the same is being presented before us in the form of literature. And then again, the literature has been divided into categories. Number one, prose writing is there, and the prose form is there, and other form is of poetry form, and then novel is there. Okay, and then play is there. So these are the forms of literature. So overall, we are told, we have been informed from the very beginning that literature is a mirror of society, and the end of literature is certainly to provide you entertainment on the one hand, and to give you moral lessons on the other hand. But as far as the moral lessons are concerned, then oh yeah, we have so many objections. So, critics were of the view that the aim of literature is not to provide you moral lessons, especially why? Because this is the function of religion, and this is the function of other uh, school of thoughts to give you moral lessons. So this is not the function of literature. But means afterwards, the few educated persons or literary figures explained the point in a very uh, best way by telling us that moral values means that moral values means that you may avoid such things which have been prohibited by society, and you may take great care of yourself, and you may avoid for example telling lies, and to uh, reject the people, or you may uh, avoid hatredness and etc. And you may learn a lesson to love people, you may help them, you may try to replace your faults and follies with good deeds and etc. So this was the thing. Anyway, so time is running out, so that's why I'm going to stop over here today. Okay, and we will certainly continue uh, means I think that we also have more time after 10 minutes, please. So let us complete it today. Okay. Thank you very much.